Hello, my name is Luby, and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. We are continuing on the Rin route. First off, I just want to apologize if there's any noise in the background that you hear every now and then. I've tried my best to soundproof my room, kinda. But at this point, if I don't record with some background noise in the background, then I'm just never gonna record. So we gotta work with what we got. Anyway, after that morning class and throughout the week, I keep bumping into Rin. Hello. This is somewhat natural as our classrooms are adjacent, but rather than just cross paths in the hallway like people regularly do, we seem to pause at the side of each other. We invariably end up talking a little bit or just silently hang out together. I think I'm getting used to being quiet in Rin's company, as it doesn't feel as awkward anymore. I am, by nature, somewhat introverted like her, so we fit together well. I think it's actually an anomaly for someone in this school to be so quiet. Most people here seem to love socializing. It's something that I've noticed already, even though I haven't been here very long. People here talk a lot, and they talk all the time. It's a rare case when I see someone sitting alone, just spacing out or whatever. Obviously, there are people like that here too, that Hanako girl and myself, just to name two from my own class. But overall, they're a minority. At any rate, I wouldn't exactly call what Rin and I do socializing either, but it's something at least. To be fair, I think being introverted is kind of a minority everywhere, dude. These occurrences themselves don't bother me, but the fact that they happen at all does. I'd hesitate to say they were drawn together by something, but we certainly act as if we were. However, this sense of a budding friendship, or, something a little more, is completely wrecked every time Rin opens her mouth. Can I listen to your heartbeat? She says this or something else about as outrageous, and I have to fend off whatever nonsense her mind has cooked up during the preceding class of a subject that she is not interested in. It seems Rin has taken a shine to my heart condition as some kind of an extension of her interest in the auto disabilities that people here have, and the consequences of said afflictions. As I stand in front of her for a second too long, looking as flummoxed as I am, she concludes it necessary to further clarify her request. I know I can, but will you let me? Why? Do I need a reason? I'm usually pretty bad with reasons. Not per se, but if you want to do it, you probably do have a reason. That's kinda clever. You're smarter than you look. Also, I'd rather you not. I think these things should be private. Private, I get it. I can tell you something, though, if it amuses you. I'm pretty sure it will. My heartbeat does sound very weird because of the, condition. And I hear it all the time. So, you're paranoid. It's not a question, it's a statement. No, I'm not paranoid. The doctor said that abnormal attention to heartbeat is a common symptom of my condition. So, for you, it's normal to be paranoid. It's not a question either. One could also say that me being like this in the first place isn't normal either, but what the heck. Paranoia fits me fine. I don't think it's something that can actually fit anyone or anywhere. I ate an orange today for breakfast. How was it? I'm vaguely proud of myself, managing to keep up with Rin's sudden change of topic. Excellent. I don't remember when I last ate an orange, because it's annoying to peel one. It's on the list of things I want to learn properly. How come you ate one then? Emmy had some, so she peeled one for me. Good for you. Rin stretches her back and yawns, and says nothing further. She throws me a glance in the corner of her eye while she watches people pass by, but I couldn't say why. I realize, though, that this is the first time I've talked naturally about my condition with anyone, in a way. A group of boys walk past us to Rin's classroom, but she doesn't pay them any mind. They pay none to her either. My mind wanders off, spurred by the silence. Maybe I should have let her listen to my heart. It's not like it matters. Nothing really matters that much at the end of the day. Okay, edgy dude. I start feeling depressed for no reason again. It's like a tidal wave out of nowhere, rolling over my consciousness, submerging me underwater. I feel a sigh coming out of my mouth, and I turn away from Rin, pretending to read a poster on the wall. It's an advertisement for the school festival, promoting an event almost a week past. The difference between me and Rin is that I'll be more likely than not dead before turning 30, while she can't eat oranges without help. I can't decide which one of us is worse off. Wow, okay. I try to grasp the passing of time, but it seems hard. I'm still used to the rhythm of the hospital, where trivialities such as the day of the week or time of day didn't really matter. Everything was the same, no matter what. Rediscovering the significance of time is an oddly disorienting experience, and I find myself enjoying the fact that I can categorize events in this fashion. The relevancy of a ticking clock is surprisingly delightful. I decide to start wearing an analog wristwatch, something I didn't used to do before. When I finally ask Rin on Thursday about something that's been bothering me for the entire week, it's already lunchtime. Whoa. The time is somewhere between 11:06 and 11:07, as my watch doesn't have a hand to show seconds. It's the old-fashioned kind with a black leather strap and a titanium casing. It doesn't look flashy, but a wristwatch doesn't need to. Hey, remember that sketch you made of me? How you said I looked grim and gloomy or something? I'd like to know what you meant by that. She gives me a weird look and tilts her head a few degrees to the left, but doesn't say anything for a while. Well, you see, we've known each other for 2 weeks, and I haven't seen you smile even once. Her striking observation gives me pause. Have I stopped smiling? I have to take what she says as truth. She has no reason to lie. Something about the way she puts it annoys me. I frown at Rind and try to correct my expression to look less depressed. I haven't been in the cheeriest of moods during the past few months or so, this is true. Does it show so much that someone like Rin can tell after so little contact with me? Should I try to smile more at Rin? Maybe she could appreciate it, having such a neutral face herself almost all the time. Have I really stopped smiling? I see. Should I smile more? I don't mind either way. Be as you are, you can't help being a sow anyway. But it bothers you? I just noticed it, that's all. Emmy skips along the hallway, jumps to a sharp stop when she reaches us, and lightly pats Rin's shoulder. Ready for lunch? It depends on what lunch is today. Remember that stew from March? Never again, that. Let's go anyway, I'm starving! As they're about to depart, Emmy turns from her friend to me, seemingly as an afterthought, and smiles charmingly. By the way, is Sal? Her tone is way too sweet and soft to be sincere. I can sense the trap about to be sprung upon me by this miniature health devil. I know what she's about to say even before she continues, because I've been trying to avoid her all week. I still haven't seen you at the track this entire week. Maybe I've been there when you haven't. That's impossible. I'm there all the time. But you sleep and go to class. I do those at the same time as you do. Yeah, I know. I just haven't been able to pick myself up. Don't rat me out to the nurse, okay? Running just isn't my thing, and I haven't come up with a good alternative. Why don't you come to the track meet this weekend? Maybe you'll get inspired. Track meet? Yeah, people from a few other schools coming for some friendly track and field action. It's on Sunday afternoon. I can't think of any reason not to go. Sure, I'll come and cheer for you. I guess you'll be running? Of course! You'll get to see me beat them all. But by now, if I don't get something to eat, I'll die. See you later. Bye, Rin. I promise I'll smile next time. I call after her as a bit of an afterthought. Afterward, I feel embarrassed about it, and I wonder why I said anything at all. That night, when I'm doubly certain that Kenji won't be barging in the bathroom, I look in the mirror and smile at my reflection. This is a reused CG. It is, isn't it? The me in the mirror smiling at the me in the bathroom looks awfully fake. Whoa, we gotta help Hisao get his smile back. Yeah, that was depressing. Having exhausted the books Kenji lent me in just a few nights, I go back to the library, deeming it a safer alternative for getting my reading fix. I return the books he had stolen while I'm at it, to Yuko's delight. I don't tell her where I got them, though. Wow, you sure read a lot, don't you? Yeah, I guess I do. I mean, I do, even if I think it's weird. I think I might have a reading problem. Maybe I'm a junkie. No, I didn't mean it that way. It's not weird at all, and being addicted to reading is a lot better than being addicted to, something else. Yeah, I know, it was a joke. I smile at her reassuringly and drop the books on the counter so Yuko can check them out. So, I feel tired, so I sit down in the vacant chair in front of her desk. While Yuko goes through the modest pile of reading material I found, I let my gaze wander around the library. At the tables, a pair of girls is chattering in hushed tones rather than working on their homework. Despicable. The short-haired one notices me looking in the direction and waves at me. While I raise my hand back, they glance at each other and giggle in unison. I'm not sure how I should feel about that, so I decide it's a good thing. Stronger man than me, Hisao. The one who waved at me has a horrible case of epilepsy. I saw her having an attack a few days ago. It was one of the most disturbing and scary things I've seen in a long time. Yet, there she is, happily chirping away about whatever, as if she doesn't have a care in the world. You know, this school really is something else. Yuka raises her eye from the book she was going through, slightly startled. She adjusts her glasses and puts on a nervous, confused smile. What do you mean? I don't really know how to explain it. It's just that everyone's so active, or how should I put it? It's not just a festival thing, I think, even though I haven't been there that long, but it's everything. People talk more, work harder, and just are more than in any other school I'd been before. I'm struggling for words, but it feels like I'm speaking honestly. Their school feels so alive. It's refreshing, or it makes me feel like I'm stuck. You have two wolves inside of you. One's happy, one is the most depressed motherfucker in the world. Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm stuck. Ugh. It's refreshing. Sure, there were some people like this in my old school too, but not as many, and it feels more intense somehow. I think if I had to pin it down to one thing, the students here really appreciate going to school. I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah, me neither. Suddenly I realized I've just been babbling my thoughts to Yuko out of the blue. She's a bit of a jumpy person, so I fear I might have made a bad impression. She's looking at me with what I hope is curiosity rather than horror, so I figure she's alright. Sorry for suddenly talking about weird stuff like this, I didn't mean to trouble you. Oh, no, it's not troubling. I'm happy to listen to you if you feel like talking. It makes you feel a little reliable, too. Yuko smiles sweetly, and a little bit ironically at that, I respond with a thankful smile of my own. A smile? Ooh. As she pushes the neat stack of books across the counter, I stand up and gather them in my arms. Here you are. Thank you. I guess we'll be meeting each other again. Please come here anytime. Yuko's kindness is heartwarming. You can count on it. See you later. Well, that was a short chapter. But also, man, Yuko is great, huh? Like, in every route, no matter what, she's always been Hisao's friend. I think that's neat. The morning of the track meet greets me with a brilliant sunshine from a crystal blue sky. While I leisurely stroll towards the track, I decide this is a good sign. Of what, I'm not sure. This event isn't as exciting for me as it seems to be for a large portion of the student body. I'm even less interested in watching sports than I am in participating, but cheering for Emmy is a good cause. I'm not expecting this to be any sort of amazing and spectacular experience, but it can't hurt. I'd probably be spending the time reading while cooped up in my room otherwise. When I approach the bleachers, I spot Rin emerging from the crowd right before she spots me. You came. Of course, I said I would, didn't I? That doesn't necessarily imply that you had to follow through. Lots of people say things and don't mean them. But, well, I don't. Rin shrugs. Seemingly bored with their conversation, she turns on her heel and heads back towards the stands. Are we gonna see Emmy's mom again? So, are you excited about this? Not really. Me neither. Then why did you come? Why did you? She doesn't reply at all, so I decide not to either. We enter the bleachers and Rin nods upwards. Up there. Rin leads the way, and as soon as we've settled down on an almost empty bench. Oh! That's nice! We get to see Emmy's mom again after, actually, it hasn't been that long. Actually, no, it has been that long. Jesus Christ, after, like, 2 other routes. There's an older woman sitting next to Rin. Someone's mother, I assume. She's got rather long hair done up in a braid. On seeing Rin, she gives her an oddly familiar-seeming grin. You know, I can't even remember what voice I gave her. Whatever. Well, this is surprising. I thought you went to get a snack and not a boy. Huh? This is no good? The woman laughs at Rin and shakes her head, apparently unable to find a comeback for that. I know the feeling. Well, I suppose you've always been one to go out for one thing and bring back another. But I'm being rude. I haven't introduced myself. I'm Michael Ibarazaki. I'm sure that if you know this girl, you've at least met my daughter, too. Pleased to meet you. Well, that explains it. She's like a taller, older, more motherly Emmy. Apart from her hair being somewhat darker than her daughter's, there's really no mistaking the resemblance. Sorry, I'm Hisao Nakai. Nice to meet you. I'm Rin Tezuka. Mrs. Ibarazaki laughs again. She really does resemble her offspring, and then leans back a little on her seat and raises an eyebrow. So, now that we all know each other, how long have you and Rin been dating? 0, officially. The response consists of silence as my brain suddenly lurches into gear. But just before I can begin to utter a hastily babbled explanation, Emmy's mother bursts into laughter again. You know, is this how it was on the Emmy route? Because this was like, there was a really similar conversation to this on the Emmy route. But I don't remember if she asked for Emmy instead of Rin that time. You're a blusher, aren't you? I don't know if there's any way to keep my dignity in this situation, so I settle for a mumbled response. We're not, I know, but it's funny to watch you squirm. I'm sorry, forgive an old woman her amusements. She chuckles again to herself. Old woman? She sure doesn't look that old to me. I suppose I can let it go. How kind of you. It's starting. And she doesn't have anything to say about that. I direct my attention to the track where they're preparing for the first sprint. Man, this really is the day of reused CGs, isn't it? It looks like the 400-meter dash. My eyes scan the runners before finding Emmy. She's smiling with an almost cocky look on her face. The starter raises his pistol. Emmy explodes off the block, disappearing from the starting line in a blur. It's amazing. Even as the other sprinters converge in the lanes closest to the inside line, Emmy surges to the front of the pack. By the time she rounds the final turn, a few of the other runners have caught up with her. Hey, there's Miki. But she puts on a final burst of speed that leaves them at least half a second behind. Mrs. Barzaki whoops and shouts, applauding widely, and generally looking like any other parent cheering on their child. Emmy bounds off the track, looking pleased with herself. I cheer right along with the rest of them. The announcer, sounding suspiciously like Misha, gleefully gives the results. I think she's gotten faster since the last time. That was incredible. Mrs. Barzaki grins proudly. Emmy's a heck of a runner. It falls silent as the next event prepares to start. You know, without all the context of Emmy's route, this seems incredibly happy, doesn't it? I'm surprised to see Emmy striding out onto the track again. Wait, didn't she just run? Emmy's mother nods. Yes, but she runs multiple events with the team, especially the sprints. It's a lot of running, but Emmy can handle it. From the looks of things, she's right. Emmy doesn't appear to be tired, as if she hadn't run the previous event at all. If not for the sweat visible on her shirt, you'd never know. Which event is this? It's the 200-meter dash. She'll do this one, the 100-meter, and the relay. I see. Once again, the pistol sounds, and once again, Emmy flies off the block. A thumping sound draws my attention away from the race. It's Rin's foot. She seems completely absorbed in the race. Emmy's mother cheers again, and I assume that the race is over. Sprints don't seem like they take very long to complete. Your foot. Huh? Your foot was bouncing on the bleachers. Oh. You seem pretty into this stuff. I'm surprised. I thought you said this wouldn't be exciting. I suppose you're right. It's not that interesting. But I'm watching Emmy, not the sport. I don't follow. Emmy's the most Emmy when she runs. You don't get to see Emmy at her Emmyest very often. But here, you can see. But here you can, see? She directs my attention toward the track again where the 100-meter dash is about to start. I watch Emmy closely. As she gets into the starter blocks, her whole body seems to relax, but it's a false relaxation. I can see that she's actually like a coiled spring. As the starter tells everyone to get set, her head snaps up and her eyes narrow slightly. Her mouth curls upward in what could be a grin and could be a growl. When the pistol goes off, it's as if she's been unleashed from a cage, like she was always moving at this blinding speed, but we couldn't see it happening until the starter's pistol dispelled the illusion of motionlessness. As soon as she crossed the finish line, the fierce look was replaced by her normal grin. The conquering general returning to his farm. Amazing. She's really amazing. I've never seen someone move that fast. Well, don't look at me. I'm far too relaxed to run that fast. No, I think Emmy's prowess all came from her father's side. At the mention of Emmy's father, Mrs. Barzaki looks wistful, almost sad. He got her into running, you know. Ah, really? I didn't know that. I leave it at that and don't say anything for a little while. I get the feeling this is something personal I shouldn't ask about. A beeping noise suddenly emanates from Mrs. Barazaki's pocket. Reaching into it, she pulls out a cell phone and looks at it. Honestly, text messages. What is he, 16? Oh, nothing. I've got to go meet up with a friend of mine. Will you tell Emmy I'm very proud of her and then I'll call her later tonight? Of course. While waiting for the relay to start, I peer at Rin. She seems uninterested in her surroundings, myself included. That remark she made before is still stuck in my head. Emmy's the most Emmy when she runs. It does make sense now that I think about it. After seeing her run now, I can believe that Emmy gives her all in the track. Sports are more than a hobby or even a competition to her. They're a defining aspect of her life. What about Rin, then? Does she feel the same way about art? Considering the persistence she displayed before the festival, I could easily believe it. Did I see Rin at her most Rin when she was painting the mural? The relay is about to begin, but I don't see Emmy anywhere. I thought Emmy ran the relay. She runs anchor, so she won't be running for a while yet. Ah, did you see it? Huh? Emmy at her Emmyiest. Maybe. Maybe this time. The race begins, and I cheer Emmy's teammates along as they pass the baton. Finally, I see Emmy sprinting onto the track to take the final handoff. Once again, I'm taken aback by how graceful she looks when she runs. It really is beautiful. The look of determination and fearlessness on her face only adds to the picture. Emmy at her Emmyiest, I suppose. Emmy flies across the finishing line with a great leap, just barely ahead of the next runners, but still in first. Well, let's go down. Gotta crown the victor. See if you can find a laurel branch. That's not gonna be easy. Rin shrugs. At least we tried. Emmy is surrounded by her teammates, all of them congratulating her on the run. Rin seems to be waiting for Emmy to notice that she's arrived. It doesn't seem her style to draw attention to herself, or to emote beyond shrugging. Being more impatient than Rin, I wave to Emmy in her stead. She looks up and grins happily at us. Hey, you showed up! We would have brought you a crown of laurels, but Asao didn't find one. Shut up! Neither did you. It wasn't my job to look. When did we assign jobs? When I said, see if you can find a laurel branch. Try to keep up. I shrug. Guess Rin's rubbing off on me. Seems it's my fault after all, Emmy. Emmy laughs at Rin and me. It's okay. I'm sure they make it up to me somehow. Sure. Good. So how'd I look? Very impressive. Emmy seems pleased with this assessment. I don't mention how much more impressive her performance is given her lack of legs. I figure she knows that already. Besides, it seemed like it would take away from her efforts somehow. Great to hear! I was worried that I looked a little slow on the relay, but I guess I did just fine, huh? Emmy giggles and then seems to remember something. Oh, before I forget, Rin and I are going to do something next Sunday as a post-track meet celebration. You should come along. Normally we do it the day after, but since today is Sunday, I've got homework in class and all that stuff to take care of. Oh, sure, I'd love to. Great, it's a promise then. Oh, right, your mom wanted to say she's proud of you. She'll call you later tonight. I thought I saw her in the stands. I'm glad she made it. Hey, Emmy, you're gonna miss the medal ceremony. Oh, yeah, thanks. She turns to Rin and myself. You don't have to stick around for this part. It takes forever. Besides, you should get cracking your homework now if you want to be up late, Hisao. Emmy skips back to her teammates, leaving me and Rin by ourselves. Neither of us has the slightest interest in the post-competition ceremonies, so we silently get away and back to the quad. Rin yawns without even trying to restrain herself and shuffles her feet around restlessly. I feel awkward, but less so than if I was with someone else. Still, I'm left hanging, not knowing what I should say next. Emmy was great, wasn't she? She was great. I'm very jealous of her. Why? Like I said, don't you think it's great to be able to really be yourself? It sounds weird coming from Rin. I don't think you, of all people, should have trouble finding a way to express yourself. Don't you have your paintings? She turns to look at me. For the first time, I see in her eyes this strange, hollow expression that I think must be unique to her. No, you see, the problem is that I'm not really sure who I am. That ended a little abruptly, don't you think? Today's art club meeting is currently on hold while everyone waits for Nomiya to show up. I take this time to try and explain my theory about Yamaku to Rin. I've tried to figure out what exactly about the school feels so special to me. That concept I unsuccessfully tried to explain to Yuko the other day. It's still difficult, but the track meet and the time I've spent observing my fellow students have helped my ideas mature a little. Have you noticed that people talk all the time? I can't really explain it, but once again, as I try to explain my observation, I'm struggling for words. The student body is heavily cliched. I'm only now beginning to make sense of the intricate grouping and popularity networks, and yet the feeling of being a part of a group is stronger here than I remember it being in my old schools. Oh wow, that background noise I mentioned earlier is getting a lot louder. Again, super sorry about that. I'm trying to say that the school isn't like other schools, or at least its students aren't, even after discounting the obvious. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you mean. Oh, well, whatever then. I want to pursue the issue, but at that point, Nomiya arrives. The teacher is wiping sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief and breathing rather heavily. He quickly glances over the room, then settles down a bit. Hello. Apologies for being late. That was way too British for my liking. Is everyone present? Good. I must confess, I haven't really planned anything for today. What voice did I fucking... I haven't really planned anything for today, as I've been extremely busy lately, but I'm sure we can come up with something entertaining.
Anyone have any suggestions? I was thinking we have a discussion circle since we haven't had one in a while. I, at least, found that last one magnificently enjoyable.
There are some murmurs here and there, but nobody raises their voice in support of or against Nomiya.
We could delve into various movements of art, or does someone have a good topic in mind? Come on, throw it out there. It doesn't matter if it's silly or odd. We can always cook up something interesting.
Nobody seems to be brave enough to make such a suggestion. As the awkward silence refuses to be broken, I lift my hand in the air. Brave.
Oh, our newest friend seems to have something on his mind. Speak up, my boy, speak up.
I don't know about anyone else, but I've always wondered why art exists in the first place. My voice trails off as silence sets in the room, and nobody makes a follow-up on my meek suggestion. Then the teacher bursts in laughter.
Oh, excellent. Very good indeed. Right out of the gate with the big one, huh? Fabulous.
Chuckling, he shifts some papers around in his desk for a few minutes. Moments, not minutes. When he's done, he appears to have made some sort of decision.
Very well then. Let us run with this and see where it gets us, shall we? Oh my, even an old fogey like me gets excited when such delicious enthusiasm is present. Oh my, indeed. Let me gather my thoughts a moment so I can figure out a good starting point for everyone.
For some reason, the teacher seems to be almost literally bursting with excitement. He scribbles a few things down on a loose sheet of paper, then cleans his glasses with a handkerchief. He strikes a pose, then freezes for an overtly dramatic, artistic pause that spans what must be half a minute. It's so quiet I could hear a pin drop.
First, let's come up with a few questions that we want answered, such as, what is art, and why does art exist? Anyone have any questions that might be related?
The boy with sunglasses pipes up almost immediately. His voice is soft and quiet, and I have a hard time making out what he says. What defines an artist? After him, another question comes up. If I fill a cardboard box with water and call it art, is it art? Everyone laughs at that, even the teacher.
Great! Wonderful, all of these. Let me start by saying this is not a clear-cut issue by any means, and as such, I'm not going to give my answers to you. I'm only going to speak from my own perspective. Scholars have argued about these sorts of questions since time immemorial, and there's never really been a broadly applicable consensus reached. There are, however, some qualities that most tend to generally agree upon. Hopefully, you should find these acceptable as well. In short, art defines itself. It simply cannot be contained to a definition from the outside, since the boundaries of art expand and contract from forces within. Every day, someone somewhere comes up with something completely outrageous that challenges any and all preconceptions. The core reason for this is that rather than the rational side of the mind, art appeals to the intuition, the instinct, the primal. You would find it very hard to explain why exactly it is that you enjoy some particular style or piece, no?
He doesn't wait for a response before continuing.
This is exactly why. So art is this sort of wild, uncontrollable thing that lurks somewhere deep in our subconscious. Now, why does it exist?
Nomiya apparently expects someone to pipe up with a guess, but as nobody dares to interrupt his inspired speech, he continues.
It was a trick question. You see, art also validates itself. Generally speaking, you might say that art exists for no other purpose than itself. It's something that exists merely to leave a mark in history. It's the defiance of a mortal against the face of darkness, as was once said. Art is truly the proof of our existence. You all should know that human culture and civilization are tightly tied to the existence of art. Tightly tied. Say that 10 times fast. Then what about artists? What drives a man to dedicate his life to a thing so fickle and mysterious that it even defies definition? There are as many answers for this as there are artists, but if I had to put it into words, an artist doesn't make art because he can, but because he must.
Nomiya takes a pause, and his gaze sweeps over his audience, eyes flaring with passion.
It is obvious that art touches the very soul of each and every human being in one way or another, so if you were given a chance to connect with your fellow man in such a fundamental way, how could you not? There is a poem I'm very much fond of, and I shall recite the most well-known part of it to you now. I feel that, for me personally, of all possible things, it captures best the essence of what it means to be an artist.
Nomiya leans against the desk as he clears his throat in preparation.
Ahem.
Looking at some distant place, he utters the words in the heavy afternoon air with his soft, basso voice. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. There is a solemn and unbelievably awkward silence after he finishes reciting the short fragment. Nobody dares speak a word. Nomiya clears his throat again.
To be an artist is to see the world in a grain of sand. You see, dear children, without art, there would not be much to live for in this world. It is a most profound thing.
He's clearly touched with this notion. I almost expect to see a lone tear rolling down his rough cheek, but it never comes. I turn to Rin and whisper to her, "So, how is this a discussion circle?" She shrugs nonchalantly back at me. "The previous ones were the same." To his credit, Namiya does try to get some debate going, but the club seems to be reluctant to comply. I feel a bit guilty about opening my mouth. Maybe we should have been spared from this. I don't know, man. It's interesting. I like it. I like this lecture. As the meeting comes to a close, I realize we haven't once touched any paint or pens today, and I feel somewhat disappointed. Namiya suddenly appears next to us. He seems to be still fired up from the speech he delivered. His cologne smells musky and saccharine at the same time, giving me an instant headache, even though I'm not sensitive to perfumes. He's looking at Rin like a hungry wolf. Okay.
Suzuka, do you remember Mrs. Sayonji who visited us at the festival?
I think so.
I'm going to tell you something amazing. The thing is, she's a very well-known gallerist around here. It turns out I might be able to get her to consider having some of your work put on display. He ends his sentence with a dramatic gesture. It seems he's expecting Rin to show some sort of joyous, shocked reaction at such grand news, but she just stares at him blankly. Magnificent, isn't it? This could be a real chance for us to get ahead, girl.
But,
Now, I know what you're about to say. Yes, it wouldn't be a simple affair, but I think this is an absolutely fantastic opportunity. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we even made it big. This could be the first step, and then the word is out, we strike while the iron is hot. Right, Nakai?
Yeah, it does sound pretty great if you're into that kind of thing.
See? We should definitely not let this one pass. Am I right?
I don't really. Rin seems to be troubled for some reason. I can't figure out why. What Namiya is saying does indeed sound like a possibly great thing. She looks pretty down, though, and confused. I've never seen her like this.
So, what do you think?
Rin looks up to her teacher's glowing face, then back down at her desk. I'll think about it. Namiya is at last taken slightly aback by Rin's lack of superlative delight. Then he smiles widely at her and gently pats her head.
Good girl.
The club meeting is finally over, and as I lazily collect my things and help clean up, I start feeling exhausted for some reason. There isn't much to do, however, so it's over quickly. I catch up to Rin, who left the club room just a moment earlier, so we're walking down the stairs to the ground floor while I try to go over Nomiya's passionate speech about art, and Rin seems to be lost in thought. Not an unusual state for her, I've learned, but something about her expression makes me feel uneasy. Penny for your thoughts. That'd be too cheap. You're just overpricing your thoughts. I wouldn't be able to sell them anyway. I'm not sure what I'm thinking yet. That'd be fraud too, like stealing candy from a baby. That's theft, not fraud. I have to think about what I think. Is this what the teacher said? Getting your work put on display and all that? She doesn't answer, but stops in her tracks as we reach the lobby. We're the only people around, so it's very quiet. Footsteps echo from a few floors up as someone hurries along a hallway. I think I'm gonna go somewhere, elsewhere. I think she really is troubled. Do you want company? I can't promise much help with the thinking, but it's not like I have much else to do, and I'm supposed to do some light exercise. If you like. Rin leads me outside to the wall behind the dormitories. There's a small black gate there, made from the same wrought iron as the main gate. It leads to the shadowy woodland park behind the school. The gate is rusty, as if it hasn't seen much use. However, it sits open, so we pass through. It's not forbidden for students to leave the grounds, but somehow I feel a little uneasy. A path leads deeper into the forest. Tall zelkova and maple trees rustle in the wind, their canopies creating patches of chill air hanging in the places where the shadows fall. I've never heard of a zelkova tree before. I'll have to look that up. The forest smells strongly of earth. I almost feel cold, even though the midsummer day is as hot as ever. Rin trudges ahead like a sleepwalker, sure-footed but with no apparent destination in mind. Her thoughts seem to be somewhere else. I follow a few steps behind, taking more care to watch where my feet land. The path follows land uphill at a low angle, sometimes making little detours downhill before climbing back upward. The muted brown and gray trunks line the path on both sides, peppered with ferns and other undergrowth. After a little while, I start getting worried. The path is still wide and clear, so there's no chance of getting lost, but it doesn't look like we have any particular destination. There's nothing wrong with a bit of aimless wandering around, but I don't want to go so far that I got too tired to walk back. I'm starting to get a little winded, and my legs feel heavy. Winded? Yeah, a little winded, and my legs feel heavy. I want to stop and get a chance to catch my breath and rest my legs, but Rin keeps on going. Where are we going? Or are we going anywhere at all? Worry tree. I see. So, what exactly is the worry tree?
It's just a tree, like this.
She stops in front of a particularly large maple that might or might not be the worry tree. Its lush green leaves sway lightly in the breeze, blowing through the small clearing we entered. I guessed as much.
There are people who believe that you must come here to wallow in misery if you are miserable. Only by people, I mean me, and the tree isn't really called anything.
So, if you're miserable, you talk to a tree about it?
No? What? You can't talk to trees. What do you think I am, crazy?
No, I didn't mean it like that.
Or maybe you talk to trees? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that you are crazy, even though you probably are if you talk to trees. I wouldn't recommend it in either case. People will think you're a weird person.
No, just forget it. She looks mildly confused, for which I don't blame her at all. She tilts her head a little to the side, expression melting back to her usual one.
Alright, I'm good at forgetting things.
So, why are we here? Are you miserable then? I can't read the expression she makes. I hate how bad I am at interpreting Rin's mood. She doesn't answer right away, as if she herself isn't quite certain of her own mood. The blank stare changes to a more difficult expression as she shuffles her weight around. Finally, coming to a conclusion, Rin shrugs her shoulders. I've grown to seriously dislike that gesture. It doesn't mean anything.
Maybe. I just kind of feel like I'm sinking underwater. I don't know what I should do. I don't know where I should go, that's all. Maybe it's not a big deal, but I thought walking might help. Kind of like if I go somewhere and I would know where I should go. I don't really know if it did. It really would have made sense if walking had helped decide where to go.
So you don't want to try to get an exhibition? Or rather, you don't know if you do? Can't decide? Rin doesn't say anything for a while, arranging her thoughts in silence. The quiet is broken by birdsong from somewhere in the treetops, followed by rustling leaves as the bird takes flight.
Maybe. I'm not sure if I can have a thing like that. So far, I've only painted for myself. I don't think I could have my things on display the way I am now. This me couldn't do it.
Her reason sounds like a weak excuse. I make my trademark frown, but she doesn't notice it. I don't get it. The teacher certainly thinks you could. I don't think he'd suggest it otherwise. Sounds like he's calling in favors from his friends, too.
I know. He's really done a lot for me, but this might be too much. Becoming someone who can do it might be pretty hard. Maybe I couldn't do it at all. He can't do it for me, and if I let him try, I'd just sink deeper and deeper.
Rin stands in front of the large maple and turns away from me. I want to close the few feet of distance between us, but I don't know. My irritation is suddenly gone, and I start feeling sympathetic to her. I know exactly how you feel. Well, maybe I don't, but still. I think I haven't felt like I was actually in control of my own life this whole year. I'm just helplessly going along with the flow. Like, coming here to this school. I didn't really choose it myself, and I certainly didn't choose this time in my life to learn that I have this condition. I still can't casually say the word aloud. It's like... Yeah, it's exactly like being underwater, like I can't even breathe. Rin turns to face me again, a sad expression on her face.
Is that why you look so sad all the time? I don't want to look sad like you. Do I look to you like you look to me?
I don't look sad all the time. I just don't know what I should be feeling, what kind of face I should be making.
Me neither. Do I look sad now?
Not really. You look like you always do, I think.
But I'm sinking. I should try to float, up like a rubber duck. Quack, quack, all yellow and creepy.
I have to think for a few seconds about which direction I should pursue in this Sorry, I can't. This is super serious, but I just... Quack, quack, all yellow and creepy. That is one of the best lines in this entire game, by the way. I have to think for a few seconds about which direction I should pursue in this conversation, then I realize that it doesn't matter. You think rubber ducks are creepy?
You don't? I think they look very creepy. Everything that has eyes but isn't alive is very disturbing, like rubber ducks and reflections in mirrors.
She plops down on the forest bed, leaning on the maple she named the worry tree. After wondering what to do for a minute, I sit down too, 3 feet apart from her. The forest envelops us in its embrace, and stillness falls upon the two of us. We sit there without speaking for a long while. I can literally feel the time passing. Patches of sunlight litter the small clearing in a pattern that echoes the maple canopies. One of them falls directly on me, warming me all the way to the bone. I wonder what I could do for myself, and maybe for Rin. For now, I just keep watching her from this distance. Sometimes she cranes her neck all the way back, so much that it almost looks painful, and stares up at a small patch of sky visible past the canopy of the worry tree. Sometimes she just stares blankly ahead, as if seeing something just beyond her reach. She keeps whispering to herself, but so quietly that I can't even hear her, even though I'm sitting right next to her. I only see her lips moving, like she was in the middle of a distant dream. I realize that right now, I no longer feel any of the intense loneliness I feel at night, just before falling asleep. I might be more like Rin than I thought. I can either give up and stay submerged under the weight of all the crap in my life, or try to change myself for the better. Her decision is different, yet the same. And unlike her, I know for sure that I can't stay like this forever. I have to change. I want to be more like Emmy. I want to be more like Rin. Oh. I want to be more like Emmy. I want to be more like Rin. I want to be more... Okay, ignoring everything that we know from the Emmy route and why she is the way that she is, Emmy seems, like, positive and, determined for her goals. Rin seems... I don't know. It's honestly kind of... You can't categorize Rin. I want to be more like Rin. Rin could probably do it. Even though she seems to doubt herself, I have no doubts about her strength. She could do it, even if she can't. It makes me feel a little better too, and I lean back against the tree, breathing out deeply, as if for the first time in a long time. We stay that way in the small clearing until the angle of sun changes and the chilling shadows begin. No longer warm where we sit, we leave the forest, returning along the same path we took coming in. It doesn't seem like Rin has come to a decision. I wonder if it was a bad idea for me to come along. It's alright. I don't mind. I'm sure the trees and dirts and rock won't mind either. Did you mind? No, not at all. I think it helped me too. I completely messed up dirts, rocks, mines, whatever. While we walk back towards the dormitories, the sky is changing to a deep ultramarine. The first summer stars twinkle softly from between spots on the canopy, barely visible like tiny fireflies. I become very self-conscious about Rin's presence. Oh, sorry. I haven't thought much about girls since things fell apart with Iwanako. This is kind of the same situation as then, but to be honest, I don't think it really counts for much, not with Rin. And yet, it feels good walking next to her, even if it isn't anything more than this. At first, I think Rin agitated me quite a bit with her unpredictable behavior, but recently I feel like I haven't had to be on my toes so much. I managed to let myself go a little. It makes me feel satisfied, even though ultimately I think it's more thanks to Rin than myself. She seems to be disinterested in a huge number of things, but something in her makes me try harder than I normally would. It's not that I want to impress her. I think that truly impressing Rin would take near superhuman effort just because of how she is. Instead, it's because there is this relentless feeling inside of me that I shouldn't let Rin down. It's really weird. I wonder why I started thinking like that. I don't even know what sort of expectations she has about pretty much anything. So how could I let her down? Rin has this unassuming air around her, and she doesn't really talk about stuff very often. Even today's confession of her self-doubt caught me a little bit off guard. I feel like I want to talk more with her. The realization suddenly dawns on me that Rin is basically the only person I talk to nowadays, apart from whatever I have to endure from Shizune, Misha, or Kenji. I feel a little depressed. In front of the dormitories, as if summoned by my dark thoughts, we run into Kenji himself. It feels very odd seeing him outside, breathing fresh outdoor air. At least it's already dusk. I partially expect Kenji would disintegrate upon direct exposure to the sun. Kenji himself seems very insecure as well, standing around looking like he's waiting for something, but doesn't know himself what it might be. Hey, Kenji, what are you doing? Hello.
Who are you?
It's me, Hisao. I'm not sure if you know Tezuka from Class 3-4. From his face, I can see that not only he doesn't know Rin, he also can't see her from this short distance.
Oh, sup dudes.
Kenji sticks his hand enthusiastically forward, almost straying to Rin's stomach. Yeah, I can tell where this is going. Rin looks at his outstretched hand in confusion until Kenji clears his throat and retracts the hand. There's something almost cool that he manages to do with social awkwardness. It's not like I'm the most suave man on the planet, but I don't think I'll ever be able to even approach Kenji's level. What are you talking about? I think I respect Kenji a little bit more. So you're waiting for someone? He leans closer and lowers his voice to an agitated whisper. I see his facial muscles twitching.
Come on, man. You know I can't talk about stuff here in public. They might be listening. I'm gonna have to go pick up some stuff from somewhere, and I don't want those snooping student council hags to get on my case. Also, I don't trust your friend. Nothing personal. Are you sure he's trustworthy?
I briefly considered telling Kenji about Rin's gender, but as it might end up badly for one or both of them, I decide against it. Yeah, I'm sure. He turns from me to Rin, and I immediately get the feeling that to prevent them from talking to each other with whatever means necessary. However, there's little I can do now, apart from physical violence.
In that case, would you be interested in knowing what the worst threat to mankind since they invented vegetarianism?
He sounds like a vacuum cleaner salesman. I thought it was Sunday.
I see you're not in the know. Yeah, man, I'm talking about man-eating cows here. Very few people know that I know, so I'm not surprised. We can't talk here, but if you'd like a pamphlet, come to my room after curfew on Mondays or Wednesdays.
He suddenly reaches into his pocket and draws out a ballpoint pen and what looks like a convenience store receipt. Kenji furiously scribbles on the scrap of paper and then thrusts it toward Rin.
Here's the password. Memorize it and then eradicate any trace of this document. Eat it, burn it, dissolve it in acid, whatever.
I take the receipt from Kenji as Rin is unable to do so and glance at it. It's indeed a receipt, apparently for 2 rice balls and 5 boxes of matches. I hope he's not planning to burn anything down. On the other side is written just one word. Honey muffin. I show it to Rin too, but she shows no reaction. Thank you.
Yo, Asao, you still in that club? The Club of Dark Arts?
Fine art. Anyway, yeah, actually, just had a meeting today.
Still got your wits about you? No shady mind tricks going on? Nothing personal, man, but I have to be on top of things. Can't get caught with my pants down. Speaking of which, you should really take showers a bit later. Gotta respect that personal space, nothing personal.
Kenji looks around as if he heard something and then straightens his jacket.
Okay, I gotta scoot now before it gets too late. Later, dudes. Good luck.
Oh my god, thank god that he left. Ow. Ow, ow. Doing Kenji's voice hurt my throat a lot just then. Oh my god. Ah. Thank god he's gone. Kenji takes off rapidly towards the main gate. Rin looks after him, frowning. We watch after Kenji's diminishing figure in silence. What's wrong with him? Technically speaking, I think he's legally blind. Oh, I see. Yeah, there might be a little more wrong with him than that.